They say marriage is a leap of faith, but for Grace, it was more like a leap into a pit of corpses with her in-laws hunting her with crossbows on a 19th century tradition.
And then there is Crystal. She just wanted to wake up in a world that made sense. But instead, she woke up in a clearing with a gag in her mouth and a group of elites trying to turn her into a political statement.
It's a battle of the final girls who didn't just survive, they fought back with everything from kitchen knives to high-caliber sarcasm.
On one side, the gothic, bloody, and hilariously dark wedding night from hell, Ready or Not.
On the other, the movie that was so controversial it got canceled before it even hit theaters. The sharp, satirical, and brutal The Hunt.
2 games, 2 survivors, only one winner.
Chainsaws, gowns, and grenades ready? This is Cinema Jam Versus.
Okay, Johnny, this one's got your number on it. Let's jam.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Cinema Jam Podcast, a podcast where 2 friends just get together to talk about movies, discuss them, analyze them, and basically have fun and share our thoughts with you, our viewers and listeners. Today, we're going to be going over our usual mid-of-the-week versus episode. A versus episode is a special episode that we do where we just go over a couple of movies that have the same theme, the same structure, the same topic, and we put them through a 6-round battle, just analyzing, evaluating which one is the better one and which one, if we had the chance, we would actually erase from movie history. As usual, I'm Pablo Vélez from Montreal, Canada, and with me, my good friend.
And I'm Sebastian Gomez from Austin, Texas, and I'm excited to talk about this type of movie. This is like my guilty pleasure, I guess. These type of hunt movies, and the heroine fighting back. So I think it's going to be an interesting discussion, especially because these 2 women are like the king of the genre. So the queens of the genre.
The queens of the genre, definitely. And just before we get into the movies and the genre, I just want to remind our viewers that you can find us on all the most known, streaming platforms. So we are available on YouTube, Spotify. You can also find us and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And Sebas, I believe we actually have right now our own Patreon account and page.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct. And we have several tiers of, however you want to support us. And we will have some free content. We will have some content exclusive to the Patreons. But we want to, and especially we want the community to share and participate. So this is actually why we created the Patreon.
Great. Perfect. So again, please follow us, like us, and share with us your comments and ideas for more episodes of the podcast. Tonight, we're going to be doing our versus episode on the genre of the final girls that survive some horrifying ordeal where some rich people are trying to hunt them down. Would that be the way to define it?
Some people call it like horror comedy. I actually listened a podcast today and they call it like the horror action comedy, I guess, because it's more, both of them are actually kind of like more action oriented than really horror, but they have a lot of horror elements because, the blood and the gore and all that. So I guess that's the genre. And as I mentioned, this is like my guilty pleasure. I don't know why I like it so much. I guess the actresses are very charismatic. You need to have like the perfect character or actors for this type of genre.
So let's talk about the movies, and I'm just gonna call them out, like mention the movies, and I'm gonna ask you next to us why you picked them up. So the first movie that we're gonna be going over tonight, actually not the first one. Like on one side, we actually have one of the movies called The Hunt. The Hunt came out in 2020, even though it was meant to be released in 2019, but it was delayed because of, I believe, a situation.
There was a shooting in the United States.
Exactly. It's a bit of a contentious movie in that topic. then after that, afterwards, it got delayed, or better, it went through like the normal cinema release, like theater
But
release,
in
but it
theaters
was
were
during
closed,
COVID.
basically. Yeah.
Exactly, but it was during COVID, so it didn't actually perform well. The Hunt is from 2020. It was directed by Craig Sobel, written by Nick Cuse and Damon Lindelof, and it stars Betty Gilpin, Hilary Swank, and a bunch of other supporting characters.
A lot of people, yes. And they, at the beginning, they actually make you think someone else is the main character. I mean, unless you see the poster, you
Oh,
don't know who's the main
hold
character.
on. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that Saz in a sec when we get to
Okay.
the major twists and things like that. Now, then on the other corner of our battleground, we have the movie Ready or Not. Ready or Not came out in 2019, so both movies actually came out around the same time. But Ready or Not, I think, did not have maybe the issues that The Hunt had in terms of its release. At least I couldn't find anything about that. So the movie was directed
Actually,
by
it did well. It actually did well in the box office. They even released
yep a,
a
a
sequel this year.
yeah, a
Yeah.
sequel. Exactly. So it's directed by Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillette. Which, by the way, I found out recently that they are part of a troupe, like a group of directors called Radio something. I'm
Produce
forgetting the
Aliens, I think. Yeah.
yeah, Radio Silence. Thank you. And they've directed different movies, including Scream, the remake of Scream. I was reading about that
Yes,
this week.
actually.
Yep, yep. It was written by Guy Busick and R. Christopher Murphy and stars Samara Weaving, Aidan Brody, and Mark O'Brien, plus again a good group of supporting actors.
And that same group is also very famous for VHS and
And
all those VHS movies.
yes, plus we have a special appearance from Andy McDowell as the matriarch, so the wife of Henry Cherney, who plays the character of Tony Laloma, who is the rich family behind that is trying to hunt down Samara Weaving. Before I give any more plot spoilers, I want to ask you, Salas, why did you pick these two movies specifically for this
Well,
versus?
basically, there are two movies right now in theaters that one of them is a direct sequel of Ready or Not. Ready or Not 2, Here I Comes, I think is the name. And there is another one that They Will Kill You, that is also a very similar premise. With in a hotel instead of a mansion or a manor. And I just like these movies. I don't know. There is something like a guilty pleasure in watching these women beat out these rich assholes. The funny thing is that, in one of them, they are basically like all money, right? And in the other one, they are liberals, but in the end, they become also kind of, I mean, both movies are, well, The Hunt is actually very controversial. As you mentioned before, the Damon Lindelof, famous for Lost and The Leftovers and Watchmen. He's a great screenwriter. He's and very famous and very, he's one of the man behind this movie as the writer, one of the writers. So it faced a lot of controversial when it was released because like a mixed reception, I guess. We can say, Trump supporters are the ones being hunted and the liberals are the ones that are hunting it because of a misunderstanding or a Mannorgate, as they call it. So
Listen
we
to
have
something,
both.
Salas.
Yeah,
I think that the best is
it's easy to spoil it.
let's
I know
just
it's
I
so
know
hard to
this
talk about. I
just
just
ram
like the genre.
let us just jump straight to the first round, I think, because it's all about the story and script. So let's start Cinema Jam podcast versus right now.
Round one.
Perfect. As I was saying, round one is all about the story and script. So you were presenting to us, Sebas, the story behind The Hunt. And also maybe we can talk about Ready or Not, but I want to maybe, ask you to tell us, as you're going over the script and the plot line, which one felt to you that it was the tighter plot line, the one that it made the most sense?
It's hard because I have actually watched both movies several times and, trying to figure out which one I would like better. And in some cases, I like it, one of them better than the other one. And none of them are perfect, right? There are many plot holes that doesn't make sense or doesn't adapt.
As can you maybe like summarize in the shortest way possible the
Okay.
plot of each of the movies, and then you
Okay,
go over which makes the most sense.
Okay, let's start with Ready or Not. A very rich family. They own NFL teams. They own an empire or a dominion of game makers. They have a pact with Satan, and they have to sacrifice a member of them. It's random, like every time a new member of the family comes in, gets married to the family, they play a game. It's randomly, and in this case, it was hide and seek, and that's why the name is Ready or Not. And when that game gets randomly selected, they have to hunt down the person and kill it before dawn. And basically the plot. The character that Samara Weaving plays basically gets it out, and she has to run away. I mean, at the beginning, she thinks she's playing a game, and then realizes she's being hunted by very convenient plot points in the movie. In the hunt, the 12 characters wake up in the middle of like a forest, and they start to find out that there are weapons, traps, and they realize they are being hunted. And we realize there's a huge background about it.
Which, by the way, reminded me a lot of the scene in Predators.
Yes, actually,
Adrian Brody like movie when they all wake up in the field and they don't know how they got there. It reminded me of that. But please carry on.
Yeah, but it's basically the same. Yeah, they are being hunted by this group of elites, and these guys, they were canceled by society, and very right-wing extremists, especially online, and they decide to take back. And the interesting thing is that we only find out what's happening at the very end of the movie. We realized like a chat that they were using was hacked, and that's why everyone is happening. But the interesting thing is that the main characters are able to survive by different chances. So we're going to discuss that later. But you know what?
So,
I think in the end, the hunt is the one I think will be like the one I will pick, because that thing about the Mannorgate, we discover later what is happening, the irony of it, the reason why she's able to being able to overcome the obstacle of being haunted makes more sense than the other one. So I think I will actually go with the Mannorgate in the case of the supernatural elements of Ready or Not.
I think
I don't know what you think.
No, I agree, Sebas. The plot in Ready or Not is fun, is more on the supernatural side with this demonic, potentially like the devil, like you said, element. It's more like a pact with the devil type of movie in the background in a way. But there were like too many plot holes. Like I still don't understand how it's like so random, and like a lot of the people that were not part of the biological family, like so the husbands and wives that came in later, like they got to play like normal games like chess and checkers. They even mentioned that at the beginning of the movie. And so when is it exactly that the devil wants like to claim someone's soul? I don't know. There's like too many things. I don't know. There's a lot of inconsistencies there. Whereas the hunt was
And why
definitely
the
more political.
help decides to help and support it? That also doesn't make any sense.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean, and then again, the hunt is way more straightforward. It's more like a liberal versus conservative type of situation. So I mean, it's also a bit it stretches the limits of credibility, because how can they set up like so quickly this sort of like hunting scenario? And then, I mean, there's a lot of things that if you really
They
like,
are billionaires, so I guess they're able to
I
put a
don't know.
lot of money on that. Yeah. And
It
it's
felt,
Croatia. They make a lot of fun of Croatia.
oh my gosh, yeah, they do.
I mean,
Anyways,
we have seen the hostels, so
Hostel was in Slovenia, not
I
in
know it's a
Slovakia.
neighboring
Sorry, in
country. I mean,
Slovakia. It's not like yeah. But I agree with you. So I'm gonna give the point here to the.
Okay, now we're going to
Round two.
Okay, I was actually waiting for this one. Round two is about the characters and acting. As we said at the beginning, when we were trying to define the genre, this is basically a battle of the last girl,
the
the
final
type of
girl.
movie, like the surviving lead actress. So we got Samara Weaving as the surviving lead actress in Ready or Not, the bride, now wife of one of the Domas family members. And then we got Betty Gilpin as I never fully understood that. She was meant to be like a veteran, like someone in the army that was now working at a car rental.
Well, she's a veteran that she was retired and she was working in a car rental in Mississippi or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. She had an accent from the South. So, anyways, battle of the leading actresses. So, who do you think overall stole the show? And actually, you can even add to my question the two other female characters that actually had an amazing role. In Ready or Not, we had, like I said before, Andy McDowell, who was an amazing actress, and now, she played like this older character as the matriarch. So that's one. And then you had Hilary Swank in the Hunt.
It's a good surprise, yeah.
So who surprised you, and who actually basically like stole the show in either movie?
This is the hardest one because Betty Gilpin is not as well known as Samara Weaving. Samara Weaving is part of the genre, basically. She mostly do like horror movies or comedies. She's like a better comedic performance and mix of
I have to confess, when I saw her, there was something about her that made me like think, I know this person. This person reminds me of someone, and I had to pause the movie, look it up in IMDb, and then I found out that her name was Samara Weaving. Hugo Weaving from The Matrix.
She's related?
Yes, she's the niece of Hugo Weaving, and you can tell by her eyes.
Yes, actually, now that you mention it, yeah.
I mean, it's like watching a female version of Hugo Weaving. It freaked me out. Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Jesus Smith, yeah. Well, and I and I have seen a lot of her movies. The Babysitter, I think, is probably the one that comes to mind, like Babysitter and the Babysitter Killer Queen.
Oh, yeah.
I remember her.
She was really young in that one. Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in Bill and Ted, Face the Music, like the third 2020 movie. She's also one of the daughters of Bill, and I think she's the daughter of Bill, if I remember correctly. So she has the comedy chop and the comedy and the scream queen energy that you need for this type of movie. But Betty Gilbert, I also like her a lot. I mean, I just finished watching Mrs. Davis, that is a TV series where she plays like a nun that is hunting down the Holy Grail, like in the Indiana Jones movie.
I want to watch that.
Yeah, it's the TV series is super fun. It's like a mini series. It's super interesting. It has actually has a lot of things in common with Her. That is the movie that we're going to be discussing on Friday, because it's about an AI that basically is controlling well, not controlling like in a bad way, but it's guiding people, and everyone is obsessed with doing what the AI says, and it becomes like a problem. So for me, it's really hard. I mean, which one do you think it would work better? And between Hilary Swank and Andy McDowell, in that case, I will go with Andy McDowell.
Same here.
I think Hilary Swank was a little bit forced at the end.
I agree. It completely surprised me. It might be more like a twist. I wasn't really expecting, even though I saw her name in the credits at the beginning. So, anyways, but when it comes to the lead actress, I think I really liked Betty Gilpin's performance in The Hunt.
Yeah, and you can see the veteran in her eyes, right?
Yeah, like someone that has gone through combat and post-traumatic stress syndrome, like PTSD, I think is the acronym.
Yeah.
You can tell like someone who's not functioning well. I don't know, that felt better as an acting performance. Samara Weaving was okay. The only thing that was really like throwing me off is that I kept thinking about Agent Smith. Hugo Weaving. So Hugo Weaving. So I don't know. It ruined the whole thing for me, to be honest.
I mean, it's in the end is, and she's more a comedic performance. You know, Samara Weaving makes it a horror comedy, and I like her a lot in the other series as well.
But
And,
she's good. She's good.
but
She's good.
I will give it. Let's give it to Betty Gilpin. I actually, you know, she nails the monologues as well that she has. You know, like 2 or 3
Exactly. The one
monologues.
about the jackrabbit, the one in the middle.
Yeah, that
That
was
that was
terrible.
good.
Yeah, that was well, horrible story. Yeah,
It
and
was
the
a
one
very
when she
Tarantino
says,
type.
she tells the National Guard guy, you know, like she's talking to him like, hey, so you were in the military? I was a National Guard. Oh, you never really were in there. That was kind of like a monologue as well. Like when
No,
she
she's good.
explains why is she doing what she's doing, right?
Yeah. Okay. Point given then to The Hunt. Even though we liked Andy McDowell more in Ready or Not, if we're just like focusing on the lead actress and who stole the show, I think we agree that that goes to Betty Gilpin.
Yeah,
So
if we go with supporting characters, I will probably give it to Ready or Not, but I think the main characters are the important part in this one. So the Scream Girls, the Scream Queens, and the final girls are that. So should we go to the next round?
let's do that.
Round 3.
So this one is all about visuals and direction. I mean, we got two very different movies, so even though they're about the same topic, about someone being, hunted down by rich people. So you got on the one side, Ready or Not, which is more like this type of Agatha Christie type of movie, all gothic, candle lit mansion. And then you have the more action driven, bloody sequences in, I guess we said Croatia, right?
Croatia, yeah.
The European country in The Hunt. So which one do you think looked cooler?
I think Ready or Not. Yeah, I think the look of the mansion and the different rooms, they have a lot of style. The bedrooms, even the goat shed that they have, I think it had a lot of personality. I think in this case I will give it to Ready or Not. And the lighting is pretty cool. It has a very cinematic lighting, almost candlelit, not quite, but it felt like it. So I will probably give it to do that. The
It
other one is
also,
more like daylight,
yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, Ready or Not reminded me sometimes of the other movie that you really liked and that we did a main episode,
the Knives
main
Out.
Knives Out, exactly. It reminded me of that at different moments. I mean, you know me, I'm not really like into that kind of a style of movie. I found that The Hunt was a bit closer sometimes, and it felt a little closer to Hostel.
Hmm.
Like the movie. So I don't know.
But it was, all the outside. I mean, it didn't have as much personality. I think that's the problem with The Hunt.
I like the fact that there were more scenarios, more backgrounds. Like it started off in a plane. Someone gets killed on the plane. That whole opening was pretty amazing, to be honest. Again,
Yeah,
Hostel. Like someone's eye gets poked. Like the Japanese game Hostel. There you go. Then it moves to this European country with that opening that reminded me of Predators, the
yeah.
Adrian
Like in the
Brody
forest.
movie. Exactly. And then, you get, trains, military camps, and refugee camps, and then you have this
The
mansion with a final battle. Exactly. Where it was
Amy
there was
Madigan that
more
won the Oscar a few weeks ago
sorry?
was the old lady in the gas station.
Oh, she's the one from Weapons?
Yeah, she's the one from Weapons.
The gas station scenes were amazing, were really
It
good.
was
I
a
don't know.
very good, yeah.
It felt like more engaging, to watch The Hunt overall. And so I thought it looked cooler. But I mean, it's your It's your call. Who do you want to get the movie to, the point to?
I will give it to Ready or Not. I think just, visually it was a little bit more compelling. I understand what you mean. Like the production and the changing of scenario was very good, but they were, rehashing spaces. I don't know. I actually felt that, yeah, the Ready or Not, if it was, just one place, they really knew how to take advantage of that. I appreciated that. You never got lost in that mansion. So I really like it. But I get it, almost will split it, but I just will give it the edge to Ready or Not.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Round 4.
I like the music behind this round 4. So round 4 is about the soundtrack and the vibe of the movies. So in Ready or Not, were some songs played over. I mean, as part of the soundtrack, specifically the hide and seek song.
That was
and
a great song. I'm not going to deny, especially at the end when it starts playing, like when he's boarding up.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, The Hunt had like a more diverse like soundtrack, and it had like those moments with some classical music. Even though you also get that in Ready or Not, there was a lot of use of Wagner and stuff like that. So I don't know if you were to choose what movie did the best job when it came to the soundtrack, the use of music, incidental music, or to increase the tension. Which one do you think did it best?
Well, the hide and seek song was fun, but to be honest, I would split it. I mean, none of them really stand out. To be honest,
I
you
disagree,
really?
Sebas.
Okay,
I really think
I will let you pick then. Yeah.
Ready or Not did it better. I mean, the hide and seek song was actually nice. I wasn't expecting that to be cool, but it actually was nice. Like there were like two moments in the movie where we hear the song at the beginning where the hunt begins. After Samara Weaving like draws the card with the hide and seek game, and she goes hiding. Like they play the song before the family goes and tries to find her. And it was like I heard it and I was like, okay, that's not bad. But then at the end, as you were saying, Sebas, there was a fire, the whole thing was burning down, and the vinyl or player started playing the song, but it was now like distorted
And like almost demonic.
and you get like the glimpses of the devil figure. What was the name? Lebail, I think.
Yeah, I
Lebail,
was trying to look the name.
Lebail, I think, because I mean, Lebail in French means the lease, like the agreement in a way. So I'm guessing that's what it stands for. Like they made an agreement with the devil, a pact, and so, anyways, you get like this figure showing up a couple of times, and or maybe like there's one time when you actually get to see it, and the music is playing behind it. So I'll give the point to Ready or Not. That was nice. That was cool. That was well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so the point goes to sorry, Ready or Not, and then so
Yeah.
go to the next round.
Round 5.
Okay, so round 5 is about what movie has the better, quotable moments or memorable moments in it. So if you were to say, this movie has more, situations that people could, talk about or comment, on YouTube or make videos on TikTok about, which one do you go with?
Probably Ready or Not. I think just it has more interesting out of the blue situations. There were moments like you didn't expect something that was going to happen. Like, the maid enters and she's going to tell me, oh, I saw her in. She gets shot in the mouth with an arrow. Or when the family starts blowing up at the end of the movie and we even see what happened. We understand what happened to even the kids. So it's more like surprising. And Samara Weaving starts, Grace starts laughing hysterically like a crazy woman. The Hunt has pretty cool scenes. I mean, we mentioned the gas station scene, especially with the three guys that the two guys and the girl and the woman that get in there. It was pretty well done. The beginning is also very well done. The beginning
With
when they wake up and they start building that suspense, and
On the
Emma
planes, yeah.
Roberts gets
On the plane.
shot like basically
I know. That was the thing. Like, I also thought that she was gonna be the leading, like, actress,
lady.
and yeah, like the final girl, and she gets, blown away like within a couple of minutes.
And
I
then we
mean,
switch to the other guy, this actor that you have seen in many movies as well, and he's an in action star in TV. Then he blows up in a in a
in a
in a
mine.
grenade. The comedian gets shot in arrows. So that beginning is pretty well done because it starts showing you different people, and you start following the next one and the next one and the next one, and each one gets killed until we finally get to really meet
I,
the.
to be honest, I really like the scenes on the plane at the beginning and then on the plane at the end. The whole
That's a good one.
the running joke or comment about the champion.
Have you tried have you tried
And caviar.
the caviar?
I mean, I thought that was nice because I mean, you see it at the beginning, like there was like the rich guy making kind of like, passive aggressive, comments to the poor air hostess
Yeah,
that
what an
had
asshole.
never
Yeah.
exactly, like totally, like what do you recommend? And she goes, well, like, we have a caviar, and he's like, have you tried it? And she's like, no, we're not allowed to. Like it's like it sets the whole context of the movie like so well, and at the end you get the main actress, Betty Gilpin, surviving the whole ordeal, getting on board the private jet, and then kind of like sitting down with the hostess and saying, you know what, let's have the caviar. And then she starts drinking like this very expensive champagne that they rescued from a boat that sank, I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
hundreds of years. And then the hostess asks, like, how is it good or something like that? And she goes, it's fantastic. Or exactly, there you go. More explicit.
It's perfect. It was a great performance
And then the movie
from
ends. I don't
her.
know. I really like that. The whole
And
under.
I really love the monologues. The Jack
Mm.
Rabbit, and the one about the just one day to like let go. I also like let's give it to the hunt. I think deserves it.
Okay.
There are memorable ones in Ready or Not as well, but I'm not going to deny that more impactful should be the hunt. Yeah, and you can tell, it's like they're trying to criticize, the way we see social media and the way we things they're better than the rest of the humanity. So I like the hunt a lot. Yeah, let's
Okay.
start with the hunt.
Let's go to the last round. And actually, you're about to decide if there's a round 6. Okay, so let's go to the last round. And actually, this is the round where you're going to decide if we have a winner or if we need to extend this battle.
Okay. So we go ahead. Rewatchability,
So
right?
round 6, exactly. It's about if you had a couple of hours to spend and you had these 2 movies to choose from, which one are you going to pick?
Oh, man, this is impossible to answer for me because this weekend, I actually probably watched these 2 movies about 3 times each. I had some time. I was very stressed out. I needed to relax. I had some back pain. So I just sit down, and I knew we were going to discuss it. And I just decided to put it. And they are not that long. Each of them are like an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 35 minutes. And the other one is like, they are not that long. So I think I put them a couple of times, like each one. And I had watched them last year. Maybe just a little edge to the hunt, I think. There is something interesting in the social commentary in that movie that I really find fascinating because with the connection with David Lindelof. But I do like Samara Weaving a lot as a lead actor. So I don't know. Do you have any favorite? Would you put any of these?
Actually, if it was me, I would choose Ready or Not just because I want to give it a second chance.
Okay.
I overall prefer The Hunt to Ready or Not, but I think it's primarily because of 2 things. Like, one is the whole Agatha Christie Knives Out thing.
You don't like that, old
not
mansion and
much,
all that. Yeah.
not much, but I also feel like I wasn't like fair to Samara Weaving because I couldn't keep, unseen Hugo Weaving from like Agent Smith from The Matrix. it was ruining the whole thing for me. I needed to, now I think I might be able to, think about it, breathe, and watch it again. The Hunt was fun, but I want to give that second chance to read it, Ready or Not.
You know what? Split it. Let's split it. I think we're gonna have to tie it up.
Okay.
I give it a little bit more to The Hunt, but I think in this case, let's just split it. Yeah.
Okay, so as with that decision, I think we have a winner.
We have a winner? Okay. With a tie? Okay. So here we go.
And the winner is...
And the winner is The Hunt.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The Hunt, a movie from 2020, directed by Craig Soville, written by Nick Hughes and Damon Lindelof from, as you were saying, Sebas, Lost fame. Then starred by Betty Gilpin, Hilary Swank, and Ike Barinholtz, and a few other folks. Yeah, that's the winner.
Okay, congratulations to The Hunt. It was closer than I expected. It was pretty tight up to the end. Well, thank you everyone for watching this. I hope you enjoyed the movies. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and the battle rounds. Remember to subscribe, like, follow us on Patreon, register on Patreon as well. Subscribe to the feed in your favorite podcast platform. And if you can go and leave a review, be a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts, that actually helps us a lot. A lot of my algorithm use Apple Podcasts as a reference, so it actually helps us if you can leave a review in Apple Podcasts. Until next time, keep jamming about movies.
Thanks, everyone. Until next time.